During this time of limited travel, increased isolation, and stressful media, we want to make the most of this time right here at home.
Let us be your escape from life's monotony. Allow yourself to indulge in your wildest travel fantasies and discover the constant beauty of this ever-changing world with the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. On today's episode, we're going to do part 2 of our World of Cruising series.
Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We are your navigators, Allison Endries
and Regan Todd. Today we'll be talking about all things cruising, and you might be thinking, why are we doing this right now? Cruises are not recommended in the world, but as our podcast is meant to do, we are trying to escape to different places, and when we can't go on one in real life, we can escape in our mind and escape to a tropical paradise.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I would love to not be looking at snow right now and be looking at the beach or some other tropical place for sure. So our icebreaker today is kind of a fun one. If you could live in any country, which country would you pick?
Okay, so now kind of backtracking a little bit from that tropical paradise we were just envisioning. I think that I would pick Switzerland because I have heard so much about just how happy the Swiss people are, and just generally how they have a cleaner country. That's really something that I value in my life is sustainability, and green practices, things like that. And Switzerland has been notably up there in rank for that, and I so admire that, and I wish our country could move forward with that, and I try to do that in my own life on a smaller scale. And I really want to get back into skiing at some point, so I can, ski down those Alps. It just looks beautiful, so I think I'd pick Switzerland. But
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I know, like, you're really into doing different adventures too, and they're known for some crazy adventures.
All right, but what about you, Allie? If you could live in any country, which country would you pick?
Yeah, so I have Spain is what I was thinking of where I would like to live. I actually was going to have the chance to live in Spain for a month to do some student teaching, but then, as we know, COVID hit, so that fell through.
Yeah.
So I'm still like chomping at the bit to see what it would be like to live there. I have visited there, and I really, really liked the culture, and I really enjoy, practicing my Spanish, and I would love to be fluent. So I think it'd be great to try out Spain or really any Spanish-speaking country, but Spain was the first one that popped into my head, and I really am longing for that opportunity that I unfortunately did not get to have
Yeah.
happen, but maybe some other day.
And if you're in Spain and I'm in Switzerland, we'll just have to meet in a little French cafe midway.
Oh, I guess we can fit that in.
How cool would that be, right?
Right? Croissants. I don't even drink coffee, but I can pretend.
Yeah, in other words, you would start drinking coffee.
Exactly. I would do as the French do.
Oh, not all that the French do,
Well,
but yes, sure.
when it comes to cafes.
Yes, cafes. Oh gosh. Well, yeah, so great. We have Spain, we have Switzerland, we have our little French cafes. So I guess that moves us into what we're talking about today, which will be cruising. Today, we will mostly be going into things like tips for your first time cruise, our favorite ports, our favorite excursions, some memories that we have from cruising. So we're mostly going at that route. If you want to know what there is to do on a ship, check out our last episode, The World of Cruising Part 1, to see all of the things that you can do on a ship. Allie and I have been on a total of... Well, actually, we've been on 2 together, right? So We've been on 9 total cruises between the 2 of us. I have another one scheduled that I hope to be able to go on at the end of April. We'll see what happens with that. But we've mostly taken Carnival cruises, so that's where we're going to be pulling our experience from thus far. But we have absolutely loved Carnival. It's really great for families. So if Carnival's good, which is considered one of like the base level cruises, if that's fantastic, we can only imagine what Princess, Norwegian, any of these other upscale, more adult options would be, right?
Yeah, shameless plug, but hey, if you guys keep listening to our podcast, maybe eventually we'll be able to afford Princess and Norwegian cruises. So if you want to hear about those cruise lines, keep listening to our podcast, and we might just
Yes.
one day cover them.
Goals, right? Add that to the
Yeah,
list with Iceland and the Northern Lights. Yep, I'm
right.
all for it.
Our list is getting long, but that's all right. Dream big.
So, we
So,
want to just dive right in here?
yeah, so there's probably a lot of questions you might have. Like, if you're a first time cruiser, like, what am I even going to do on the ship? Is it like a little tiny pontoon boat? Am I, going to have some space? So, I really like this one liner that Regan mentioned, but the ship is way bigger than you expect, and the rooms are way smaller than you expect.
Oh,
So, it's
yes.
not going to be like a closet. Just think maybe like a walk-in closet for your
That's a
room.
good way to put it. Yes, a walk-in closet, in
With a
other words,
bathroom.
and a bathroom. The bathroom, however, is basically like picture yourself if you're getting strapped in to launch in a spaceship. That's
Yep.
kind of like what your bathroom is. Like you kind of step in, you can maybe turn in a circle, and that's kind of it. But in other words, we don't recommend bringing all sorts of luggage with you. Like one suitcase, that's probably fine because you'll be able to store that under your bed, but don't think you have all of the storage space in the world.
Yeah, honestly, a carry-on has always been great for me because usually it's just bathing suits, tank tops, shorts,
Mhm.
maybe one sweatshirt, and maybe a pair
Mhm.
of sandals, and that's about it. Really don't
Yeah.
need to bring much because it's gonna be so hot usually,
Mhm.
which works well for the small space. But you can get a somewhat larger room if you're willing to pay more, but honestly, I don't really think
Mhm.
it's worth it because you're not really in your room that much anyways.
True. You that is an excellent point. Like if you have a balcony or something, it might be nice for you to have some private space to go out and read or spend an evening, watch the sunset, something like that. But there is so much space on all of the decks where even if it's not your own private balcony, you're able to find a deck that doesn't have other people on it. If you want a little more privacy to be able to just kind of like enjoy a romantic time together or something like that, there is always space. There are some fun little secret decks that we've discovered over the years. So if you're willing to explore the ship, by all means, it's the cheaper route to get that smaller interior room and just take your time to find those secret decks.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the most like important question that I'm kind of worried about because I'm bringing a lot of bikinis. Am I going to gain weight on a cruise, Regan?
Yes, you will.
Oh no. So maybe
It
I'm
might
not
not be a
packing the
lot.
bikini.
You'll still look great. You own that, girl. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I mean, it's unlimited food, like the options that you have. In other words, don't try to diet through a cruise. Let yourself eat that chocolate melting cake. Like let yourself do that. Don't be ashamed of it. But also, if you are worried about it, there's a full gym on board. So you're able to go and you run on your treadmill looking out at the ocean for a little distraction, or they have personal trainers.
Yeah, definitely. How about when we get off the ship, will it ever leave without us, do you think?
That is really funny because if you look on YouTube, you will literally find videos of drunk sorority girls coming from Senior Frogs at the port, running towards the ship as it's pulling away. And you do not want to be one of those sorority girls. Because yes, the ship will leave without you. You do always need your passport and your sail and sign card. On different cruise lines, I'm not sure what it's called, but on Carnival, it's your sail and sign card to be granted access back onto the ship. And they are very strict about those times. They will leave without you.
Yeah, but like it's not like they're just like, "Hey, we're just leaving." Like they give you an exact time. Like you need to be back at usually it's like 4:30 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And by then you're like probably sunburnt, you're cranky, you want a nap, you're ready for dinner. So you're already heading back to the ship anyways, but just an
Yeah.
FYI, it will leave without you. So make sure you are paying attention to the time as you get off the ship.
Cannot mention that enough times. Do
Yeah.
not be the one to be left at shore. Yeah, for sure. But what about like when we get off the ship and we want to do something? What do we do? How do we go about booking things? What is
Mhm.
there?
Yeah, Carnival is really great. So they have on their website, they have all the excursions that they offer at each port. So it's really nice. You can see like if you want to do water activities, a lot of the places have snorkeling, of course, because of the beautiful water that you're at. But they also have like guided tours, parasailing, a bunch of different things. So I highly recommend, even though they might be a bit pricey, I highly recommend booking through Carnival. You just know that you'll be safe when you're with a Carnival tour. I know sometimes we went to Nassau before and just stayed like at the beach that was right close to the ship, and that's totally fine to do that too if you want to save money and just stay super close. They usually have like some kind of souvenir shops. Like you said, Senor Frog is usually at most of the ports. So there are things to do if you don't want to spend the extra money on excursions, but I wouldn't necessarily get like a taxi and just go off and explore on your own unless you are with a excursion.
Yeah. And another good point with that is that if you go through Carnival, they will not leave without you. The ship will
Yes.
stay until that Carnival excursion is back because they make sure to maintain those time frames. And if their Carnival group is not back, the ship is not leaving. So if you're worried about that, definitely book through Carnival.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So how about, are there any favorite ships you've been on? I know you've been on more cruises than me, so are there any ones that you necessarily lean more towards, or all of them, or what do you think?
Yeah, so this past year, I went on the Carnival Panorama, as the cruise director nicely says, um, out of Long Beach, California. And it was the most incredible ship in terms of things to do. It's one of the newer ships, too. It was their first season because their actual first season got shut down by the pandemic. But that class of ship is just fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a good size. It's like the decor is fantastic. The spa is fantastic. Just generally things to do. I've also been on the Magic, which is similar. So any of the ships in those classes, highly, highly recommend those.
Yeah, that sounds great. I haven't been on either of those, but the ships I have been on are the older models, but they're all somewhat similar and really great
Hmm.
experiences. And the decor is always nice to look at, but it doesn't hinder your experience at all. And they definitely have better options of like entertainment or maybe like Sky Zone or whatever. We'll get into the activities later, but different activity options on the newer ship. But just you can have fun on the new and the older models as well.
Absolutely. What have been some of your favorite ports, Allie?
Yeah, so a couple of them have been Half Moon Key or K. I've heard multiple ways of saying it. That is Carnival's own private island, which is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going there.
Mhm. And they
Uh,
feed you right on the shore, which is
yeah,
awesome.
it's phenomenal. It's amazing.
Mhm.
There's also Jamaica, Key West, and then Grand Turk. So those are just a couple of the ports that I've been to and really enjoyed. And I know, Regan, I think you've been to all of those as well.
Yeah, and I think I would agree with that list. Those are some pretty knockout ports. Very fun.
Yeah.
In fact, I chose a cruise at one point based on the fact that one of the ports was Key West. I just
Yeah,
love it so much.
it is. The key lime pie, I don't even like key lime pie, but everyone says it's really good. So Key
Yeah.
West
It's
is the place to get it.
Key West has just the cutest little like subculture of Florida. It's
Mhm.
so quaint and so cute and surrounded by gorgeous blue water. Super fun. And the street corn, oh, hit me up with some of that. It's delicious. So yeah, as we're talking about ports though, there are these excursions that you can do through Carnival or on your own, whatever you want to do. But what have been some of your favorite ones that you've done?
Yeah, so Atlantis, which is in Nassau, the Bahamas. I've been there. It's a huge water park if you're not sure what that is. It's also a hotel and casino, and they have shops in there. But I've gone for the water park aspect of it. And you might have seen before the water slide where there's sharks. That is Atlantis. Personally, I like the tube version of the shark water slide, not the body slide, which is absolutely gigantic. Um, but they have like a nice lazy river. There's also a beach there as well. And I think also some excursions you can book dolphins encounters at Nassau and Atlantis as well. So that's really cool. Also, I did Dunn's River Falls in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, where we climbed
Mm,
up a waterfall. That
that
was
was cool.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really cool. I was actually, like, a little nervous, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna fall down this waterfall," but obviously it's created for people to walk up, so it was safe, and I know they had different points where you could go down, like, a rock slide, and that was towards the top, so obviously you're not gonna slide off the waterfall
Yeah.
there, but that was a really cool excursion as well. So what are some that you enjoyed, Regan?
Yeah, Dunn's River Falls was definitely one of my top ones, but other than that, there was one time where we did like a horseback riding adventure through the Mexican jungle. And at the end of it, there was this little cenote, which is like a little swimming hole. And that was really, really cool. And we got to chat with our guide and everything and ask about his life. And it was really cool. I was actually with my foreign exchange student sister from Mexico at the time. So that was kind of cool. And then our very first cruise, we went on an excursion to some Mayan ruins, and that was really cool. It was no Machu Picchu or anything like that, but it was still really cool to see that ancient history. And there were these huge iguanas, and some cenotes. Just really cool to get some history on a trip that you wouldn't otherwise think would be history packed.
Yeah, and that leads us into, like, our last segment here about our favorite memories, and I'm pretty sure the Mayan Ruins was the bus ride that had "Party in the USA" playing as we were going to
Yes,
them. So
come
we're like
on, people.
yeah, we're in Mexico, like, hoping to get some, cultural experiences, and all of a sudden you hear Miley Cyrus "Party in the USA" on the radio. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what?"
Like, absolutely, everyone enjoy all kinds of music, but I was like, "There's just something ironic about this."
Yeah, like, we're not in
What?
the USA, but obviously we're Americans on this bus, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
oh
that
my
was
gosh.
a weird surprise.
But do you remember when our moms and us went to the spa for free makeovers?
Oh my goodness, not the free makeovers.
We got some smoky eye action going.
Yeah, the one part of the spa I would not recommend is the free makeovers. You might come out looking a smidge bit orange, not for the better.
But yeah, so there was that, and like at dinner, the melting cakes every night are
To
so
die for. That's how
good.
you gain the weight. It's like a scoop of
Yes.
vanilla ice cream with the melting lava cake, and it's just like food
Oh,
coma instantly.
so good. Well, you have to wash the appetizers down with something, especially when the appetizers are things like frog legs and escargot and all those
Ugh.
weird things that we tried. And mind you, those are not the only options, but we tried them for the fun of it. And then of course,
Yeah.
yeah, you wash it down with the melting cake. Why not?
Yeah, have no fear. You can get like a Caesar salad for an appetizer, okay? So it's not all like gross
Yeah.
things. Maybe you guys think frog legs are good, but
Yeah,
personally, I'd rather have
respect,
salad.
respect, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll steer clear.
Yeah, definitely. That also, speaking of vanilla ice cream, our first cruise, we thought, oh my gosh, this is our first cruise. How fun. We're going to do everything under the sun here, literally. Um, and we decided let's set our alarms, even though we're on vacation, for 2 a.m. and meet in our robes at the ice cream machines and have ice cream at 2 a.m. because why not? We're on a cruise that offers 24/7 ice cream.
Yep.
So not totally sure if it was worth it, but
Our bellies
memorable
went back to
nonetheless.
bed very happy.
Yeah.
So the second cruise I think that we went on together, oh, I didn't know that you guys were coming.
Mhm.
And then
Yep.
all of a sudden, the Bensleys appeared and Allie's there. And it's like so much fun. And Allie's dad even made the statement, Stacy's, which was my maiden name, my family, plus Bensley's, Allie's maiden name, her family, equals priceless. And that is so true. It was so, so cool that we were on the ship thinking, oh my gosh, this can't get any better. And then Allie and her family show up, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Do we pop out, like, on the elevator? I don't even know, like, how we figure that out.
I don't either. I think my mom knew, but none of the
Yes.
rest of us knew. I don't know. It was so cool.
Yeah, I feel like that, like, just basically wraps up a whole cruise, like, in one word, priceless. Like, it's just an
Yes.
amazing, like, experience that if you get the chance to go on, you should try. Because you don't if you're afraid, like, "Oh, I might get seasick," like, you don't have to, I mean, worry about it if you feel like you should, but it's also, like, you're not stuck on there for a week necessarily. They do have shorter, options as well, so if you just
Mhm.
wanna, like, try out a cruise, I think the shortest is 4 days or 3 days.
I think 3
So
days. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, options
So,
for sure.
yeah, they have a lot of options when it comes to different ports and where you're leaving out of, as well as excursions. So, to wrap up cruises, priceless would probably be the best word, that I would use to describe cruises,
Yeah.
Carnival cruises specifically.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. Come escape with us again next Tuesday morning. Give us a subscribe and a follow on all of our social media and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until we chat next week, wander on.